AM 560, The Answer.
I remember when these imbeciles had been bragging about paying all of the costs outside of the foreign policy money for the war, the $300 billion. I remember when they were bragging about paying the entire infrastructure costs of the most corrupt country outside of Chicago.
One of the things that Congress has given USAID since this full-scale invasion began is an unprecedented amount of money in direct budget support, which sounds kind of obvious. Of course, we would do that. We want to stand with Ukraine, but it's totally unprecedented, this kind of scale of investment. And we're talking along the lines of about $15 billion in a sense, cash to the Ukrainian government, which was famously corrupt, in past years and still has work.
Still has work? What do you mean still has work? Now they've stole so much money, they're hiding it in stolen art.
On March 22nd, 3 paintings by French masters Cézanne, Renoir, and Matisse, worth more than $10 million, were stolen from a museum near the Italian city of Parma. The theft has since been investigated by Italy's Carabinieri and the Cultural Heritage Protection Unit. Surprisingly, less than a month after the heist, one of the stolen paintings, A Cup and Plate of Cherries by Paul Cézanne, appeared in one of President Zelensky's videos.
Шановні українці, українки, коротко про цей день. ППО буде новий підхід до застосування.
Presumably recorded on April 16th, the video shows Zelensky addressing Ukrainians, with a stolen painting appearing on a wall directly behind his back. The video was published on the official website of the President of Ukraine, but has since been removed. This is a rare case of a stolen painting reappearing in public. Chris Marinello, founder of Art...
Well, the funny thing is, you got to hide the money somewhere. And then if you want to get away with it, well, you know the Democrats shuffle. Cut them in so they'll protect you.
But we're going to cover one thing we broke overnight. A lot of you probably heard about it over the course of the day. The United States government, the National Security Agency, intercepted conversations of President Zelensky's government in Ukraine in 2022, late 2022, conspiring with federal workers at the USAID to come up with a plan to take $200 million of USAID money. That is your money, folks, taxpayer money, route it through a series of transactions, move it into the United States, and launder it into Joe Biden's 2024 campaign and the Democratic National Committee.
Ding, 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 ding. You know what they call that in Chicago, Squirrel? Monday. John, Nebraska.
Hi, big man. How are you?
Very good, John. How are you, babe?
All right. This is what I wanted to say real quick. You know, it's so frustrating when you think back, all the way back to the check cashing scandal back in the late 80s.
Yes,
all
indeed.
All this corruption, all this stolen money. I wish there was a way they could backwards Doge and get it all back from the families that dealt it out to. And I wish our politicians had to compete to be elected, meaning get primaried, get up there and get in the ring as a gladiator and fight. Because men that get damaged, men that get injured, they have integrity. None of these clowns have integrity. And it makes me sick when I see that clown like that Coots guy from, I don't know, Connecticut or something. You seen him over there in Ukraine begging for money. I just want to kick that guy right between the.
Hey, I know exactly what you mean.
Fight for their position.
Now,
That's
John,
all I got, my friend. I love you.
I love you. Two things, though. You stay safe now, because they flew that moron with the virus right to Nebraska for some ungodly reason. That's number one. And number two, the check scandal you're speaking of was in California. It was a Republican. And do you know who his chief of staff was? That congressman? The chief of staff was Kevin McCarthy, who became the speaker for the Republicans. That's exactly how it starts.
Right?
Exactly, John. You stay safe out there, babe.
Because you know it all.
Thank you very much. Boy, I heard that twice today, and one of them was somebody else. Terry Chirac.
Hey, Sean, I remember in 91 or whatever, I was at DePaul, and the left motto was, if the Soviet Union can collapse, why can't the United States? The other thing I wanted to say is, I don't know if it's the 82nd or the 101st motto was red, white, and blue, colors that never run.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a different world now, but we were warned about it. Thank you, Terry.
Process, which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare, What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions.
You can come to sensible conclusions. Democrat areas are bankrupt because they stole your money. Cut them off!